Joined now by Attorney General Jeff Sessions. Sir, good morning to you.
Good morning,
Let's talk about the president's words. They're worth focusing on at this moment. He said on Saturday that this was an egregious display of hatred, bigotry, and violence. He seemed to add on many sides. And then he was asked and given an opportunity to specifically condemn white supremacists who were protesting. Why didn't he call them out?
Well, he made a very strong statement that directly contradicted the ideology of hatred, violence, bigotry, racism, white supremacy. Those things must be condemned in this country. They're totally unacceptable. And you can be sure that this Department of Justice in his administration is going to take the most vigorous action to protect the right of people like Heather Heyer to protest against racism and bigotry. We're going to protect the right to assemble and march, and we're going to prosecute anybody to the full extent of the law that violates their ability to do so. You can be sure of that. Attorney
General Sessions, let me just follow up a little bit, though, because you say that it was a forceful statement, but he adds that this violence that's been going on, this hatred and bigotry, was on many sides. On many sides, he says, which seems to equivocate. What are the other sides?
Well, we've had violence around the country in any number of ways over decades. We've had these spasms of violence that are unacceptable in America. He did say he wasn't just talking about Donald Trump or Barack Obama. He said these problems have been going on for a long time. He said what happened in Charlottesville is unacceptable. We need to find out what happened, that it's wrong, and we need to study it and see what, as a nation, we can do to be more effective against this kind of extremism and evil, really. I thought it was a good statement delivered just a few hours after the event. The next day, yesterday, they explicitly called out the Nazis and the KKK.
The president did not.
General Sessions, that statement that you're referring to came from the White House. It was attributed to...
It came from the White House.
But it was attributed to an unnamed spokesperson. And here's a president, as you know, General Sessions, he's not afraid to take to Twitter to chastise a number of folks, yourself included. He's not afraid to call out terrorism overseas. But here's a president that didn't do that. Why?
The president did do that yesterday. His spokesman said that.
That wasn't the president. That's not the same as the president of the United States.
You asked me, I was giving you an answer.
Go ahead.
There was a White House spokesman that made that statement explicitly condemning these groups by name, and I'm sure he'll talk again about it soon.
Today, the President of the United States today is going to explicitly condemn these so-called alt-right groups and white nationalist groups.
He will be speaking to the people today. I'm not sure what he'll say. That's my understanding. And he's been firm on this from the beginning. He is appalled by this.
General Sessions, the Daily Stormer, it's a neo-Nazi publication. They didn't just celebrate the president's comments. They saw it apparently as some sort of tacit sign of support for their side. This is what they posted shortly after the president's comments in part. And I think we have it here on the screen for you. President Trump's comments were good. He didn't attack us. Nothing specific against us. They go on to say he said that we need to study why people are so angry, implied there was hate on both sides. So he implied this Antifa, the anti-fascists are haters. He said he loves us all. When asked to condemn, he just walked out of the room. Really, really good. God bless him. That's from a neo-Nazi publication. Isn't that just proof? Isn't that proof that the president didn't stand up sufficiently to white supremacy on Saturday?
They are simply attempting to legitimate themselves in any way possible. They're going to find out that we're coming after them for any violations of the law. The president has condemned them by name and will continue to do so. And I am confident that the American people will reject this kind of evil ideology. And we need to take it seriously. It does appear that people are amazingly, Nazism remains alive after all the evil it has caused in the world. And so I think that we take this seriously. We go at it directly, morally, legally, politically, legitimately, in any way way possible to reject this kind of ideology that causes division and hatred in America. It's just not part of our heritage.
And sir, before we let you go, we haven't had a chance to speak to you since the president has made several remarks directed at you, his own attorney general. My question to you is, has the president apologized for his kind of public scolding of you? Have you spoken to him about it, especially in light of the fact that you're out here this morning defending him?
Well, I believe in the president's agenda. I believe in his leadership. He has a right to scold his cabinet members if he's not happy with them, and he has a right to have people in his cabinet that he believes will serve his agenda.
Did you deserve
I look forward to meeting with him
like
today. And to talking about the issues that face us right now, and I appreciate the opportunity to serve in his administration.
Has he ever apologized for doing so publicly?
He has not apologized. He's quite frank about his concerns, and he expressed them openly.
And let's end on that note. Sir, Attorney General, thank you very much for being with us this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hello, Today fans. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking that button down there and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives.